retarded.
Hey. All right. So, at this point of, the project, the picture, everything that I showed you guys was all theory. What a shield actually looks like, what a shield does, what a diamond does, what a dart does, what a leaf does. I always find that as I'm doing this demo and I take it in and, like especially on the leaf, and you see what happens, everybody's like, oh, I get it now. So now is the perfect time for you guys to kind of see how to leaf, dart, and so forth. Some people might not do any of these four things, and then we'll talk as you go, okay? So, for the most part, most people are gonna take their pot and put it into an oval first. I've been saying, and I'm gonna ask you guys today, I'm gonna ask you, is your pot oval or round? When I look at your 4C assignment. If one side is different from the other side, you're going to make it into an oval first so that you have two sides. So I'm going to make this into an oval, and that way you can see what that looks like too. It just, when I do the leaf and the dart and all that stuff, it just kind of comes out better if it's in an oval than if it's round. It kind of gives me a side to work with and a side to work with. So that's about good enough, okay, oval. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the ruler to draw a line down the middle of my pot on the side. So let's just say that that is the middle, the furthest point out of my pot on the side, and that is 2. I'm gonna take my fettling knife and ruler and just draw a line straight down from that line. And then when I draw my leaf and dart or shield or whatever, it's going to give me a line so that I can make it symmetrical so that when I take it in, it's even. And you'll see once I do the first one. So all I did was just draw a line with a ruler from the midpoint of the side, okay? So let's do a dart. This dart here, if you drew your pot to look just like this, okay? Treat it like this when you make the darts and the leaves and so forth. This point here, is that right in the middle right here? Okay, so what I could do is just come down the middle, come down from the middle point just a little bit, and that's gonna be the size of my dart here, okay? I'm gonna do the dart first. So if your pot looks like this, today what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna look at your 4C, which is your design, big, and then I'm going to tell you an order in what to do this in. I might say to do that first, that second, this third, and that fourth. And then I tell you to add your base last. By giving you a progression, it will keep some of the problems from happening. Okay? Thank you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a dart down the side of my pot. This is going to be the bottom, okay? I don't want to do it while it's sitting flat on the table. I know it's here, but I'm just going to turn it upside down to do it. What does a dart look like when I draw it on my pot? Do you remember? Nope, a diamond looks like a diamond. Triangle. So I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to make a mark halfway down the pot like that. And I'm just not going to go all the way to that point. I'm going to stop right there, and I'll turn it around and show you. Now because I have that line there, I can try to make the left side of my triangle symmetrical. That's what that line down the middle did. So that is a dart. It's a triangle. Okay? And by having the line down, I could try my best to make that side look next to that side so it's an even dart or triangle. So it's as simple as this. And people are like, whoa, that's crazy. I didn't know you were going to do that. I cut my dart out. Okay? I'll save this because I'll need a little bit of clay for my inside seam. When I put this together, now here's something else. The way I drew it, I would say that that was a medium-sized dart as far as the width. If I would have went wider, it would make my pot do what? Go fold in more. So if you go like this and you look at it, and it goes in that far, and you think it should go in more, you could just trim off a little bit more on each side and make it go in more. But that was a medium one. And the opposite, if you don't want it to go in much, you can do a skinnier one and then check it, and if you think it should go out more, or in more, I mean, then you could always cut a little bit more. All right? Score and slip. Do not just make little tiny marks. Cut into it so that the slip will go into all those crack marks, dry, joining the pot together. Cut marks. All right, so I take that there. Now I'm just going to do it right here in front of you so you can see. I press it in to where the two flat cut parts, like this, are now joined. You'll see all the slip coming out, like this. I take my fingertips and I squeeze to get all that slip to come out. It will go into the cut marks. I use a little sponge when I do this to help me out a little bit, but you really need to make sure that you squeeze and blend this in, okay? Because if you don't, you'll have a big crack. I don't think I've seen one Bis-fired pitcher come out yet that has a crack there. Everybody's done pretty good at it. So, on the outside, just like we did with the slab box, I cut through it a little bit, I score it. You can use this. This is reinforcing the outside seam. I could either do the coil inside first and then do this, or do it this way. So all I'm doing is reinforcing all that cut area like that, and then I can just come in with my metal rib and start smoothing. Now one thing that starts happening, if I wipe it this way and I wipe it this way, what do I create right here? It's like a sharp seam. Okay, if you like that, then do it that way. If you don't, then take your finger or the rib and start rounding it off to where you don't see it. Okay, now I got a little on the top part. I need to fill it up with clay. There's a little seam on the top also. I always just nice wet clay to fill it up. Now my slab is kind of wet. If it's dry, like if you mismanage your pot today and it's kind of hard for tomorrow, you won't be bending it in like what I just did. So it has to be, you know, somewhat wet, but not wet enough to where it's going to fall apart. So on the inside, what do you think I'm going to do? Little coil, little flat coil. Make sure that it is wet clay. If it's not wet, it does not blend very well. It's much more difficult. So I go like this and I press it up in there. Some of the seams on the inside will be difficult to get to. You might have to set your pot down on a stool and then so that you can get up in there, so that you're a little bit higher above it. So I'm pressing this into the corner. I take my hand. If your fingers are not getting in there, take your fettling knife, and all you're doing is just blending that in the corner. We want to create the illusion that this pot was all put together as one piece, not that it was cut and folded in and so forth. I would say that with the last group of pictures I did, most of these were reinforced so well that you could not see the seam on the inside. Okay, so you'll spend a little time with your finger and so forth. All right, now I'm going to do the next three. I'm not going to score and slip and put it together and blend it. Okay, I think you get the point. I just want to make sure that you guys understand that this is the finished product. That's what we want. Inside seam, outside seam, smooth. Once it dries up a little bit more, I can use a rubber rib or my finger and make it hyper smooth. All right, so this is the bottom here. So I'll turn it over so you guys can see my drawing. So this is the way it is up here. All right, that's my dart right there. I'm going to go ahead and do the leaf. The dart and the leaf are the two most common things. So I'm going to turn it back over and do my leaf up here. What does a leaf look like? Looks like a leaf. Pretty simple. Now, if you notice, I'm looking at how high my leaf goes up. Where should I draw it? I think about halfway. So I'll make another halfway point, like that. Same thing as the dart. I would not come out very much at first. You might have to redraw this a couple times, even with my line down the middle. I mean, this is pretty darn good right here. Pretty symmetrical. Okay? So, but you can redraw it however you want. I used to have the students make templates, you know, but I think that you can figure it out this way. You're all pretty smart. So now I'm going to cut it out. Now I left a little piece of the rim joined, but it's wet to where when I fold it in, it will be okay. All right? So there it is, cut out a leaf, like that. So I'm going to stand back here, and I'm going to start pressing it in to where the flat part meets the flat part, but I would score and slip. The flat part meets the flat part of the cutout, and that's your leaf. Looks exactly like that. Remember I said it's half of the what you draw is what how much it goes in. Okay. If you want it to be more dramatic, you could open it up like that, and then you would just cut the middle part wider. Not all up at the top. I'm just going to freestyle this. So just a little bit wider. So I would score and slip, fold it in like this. That's a little bit more dramatic. Now my top part up here is starting to crack, so I would just blend that. I could put a little piece of clay in there, but look at what that does. Okay? So that is your leaf. Now I'm going to blend it a little bit because I've done this demo before where I don't score and slip after the first one, and by the time I'm at the end, it's all falling apart because I didn't join it at all. Now another thing, see this point right here? If you don't want that point, take a paddle and hit it or round it off. Some people like the point, so you'll have to make a decision on that. So I'll just kind of blend that in a little bit. Questions at this point? All right, I got a leaf here, I got a dart there. On my drawing, it looks like this. Dart, leaf. Okay? Well, let's do the shield. What does a shield look like? Shield. Looks like a shield. So this shield is going to be a little bit long like this and curving at the bottom like this. Okay? Draw it up here. So it goes straight and then it curves in like that. I suggest, I'm going to do this one a little bit wider than I did the last one. I suggest doing your best to draw it, and if it doesn't look right, just to redo it. It's easy to smooth that out. Okay, straight down, curves in. The curve in the bottom it's like a bottom of a leaf. That's what gives it that curve. Shield. And there's about 1,000 variations of all this stuff. So now I cut it. This one's going to go in pretty far because I did it pretty wide, but I wanted to show you guys a little bit more dramatic cut. All right, so that's gone. Also, all your little cuts that you take out, if your clay is dry, for one, it's not going to go in like I said, but if it's dry, don't put it back in there, okay? Don't put it back in there. You can recycle it. So here we go again. I cut it. Now I take the two flat parts that were cut. I press it in. Like that. And I would score and slip and blend all this over. I'd reinforce the outside seam. Okay, so you can see that point is very pronounced on this pot. So I can either paddle that, I can round it off, or whatever. Okay, So see how that, it almost does like a neck and a shoulder. If I did it short and then out, it would be like a neck to a shoulder. That's why when some people do this project, their picture ends up taking on like figurative look to it. So straight down. Questions? Is this all making sense? Does it make more sense than it did before?
Yes.
Last one is going to be the diamond. I'm going to do a short inward diamond, and then I'm going to go all the way down to here. So it's not really a diamond that's even like this. It's one that is short and then long like that. There's so many variations. It just depends on what you drew. All right, so my midpoint, I'm going to come out like this. And if you want to use a ruler on some of these cuts, you can. I'm just so good at this that I don't need that.
Whoa.
Whoa. All right. So there you go. Almost looks like a kite. We'll call it the kite altar.
It doesn't look like
I know, I called it a kite, like it's a variation of the diamond. But it's still a diamond. All right, so now I'm cutting it out. Okay, this will be pretty dramatic. So there you go. There's your diamond. Oh, thank you, one person. She'll be saying, wow, when her pot's slumping over. Wow, Mr. Ullman, I need your help.